Harry and his 4-year-old daughter visited Colorado every year to honor the wife he lost in a tragic accident. In a small roadside diner, Aria suddenly went still, pointing at a waitress across the room. She whispered one word that made Harry's blood run cold. When he finally looked up, his entire body froze. The morning air in Colorado carried a certain heaviness as Harry Cosby and his 4-year-old daughter Aria stepped out of their rental car. The mountain scenery might have been breathtaking to tourists, but for them this annual pilgrimage was marked by solemn purpose rather than sightseeing. 2 years had passed since the tragic bus accident that claimed the life of Celine, Harry's wife and Aria's mother. The tour bus had careened off the mountain road, erupting into flames that left no survivors, according to official reports. All Harry had received were ashes, which the family had buried in a heart-wrenching ceremony back home. As they approached the simple roadside memorial where crosses and photos marked the lives lost, Harry held Aria's small hand tightly in his. She was just 2 years old when her mother died, and Harry worried constantly that her memories of Celine were fading. The thought pierced his heart daily. Aria placed the flowers they had brought next to the memorial marker. He wanted to keep Celine's memory alive for their daughter, even as the sharp edges of his own grief had barely dulled with time. She looked more like Celine with each passing day. In those quiet moments, he made silent promises to his late wife that he would give their daughter all the love and security she deserved, even if he had to do it alone. The next day, after visiting the memorial site again, they stopped for lunch at a small roadside diner with a neon sign advertising homemade pie. Inside, the diner was warm and filled with the comforting smells of coffee and grilled sandwiches. They settled into a corner booth, and a server brought them menus along with a children's placemat and crayons for Aria. Harry looked up from his phone occasionally to smile at his daughter. She was his anchor in the storm of grief that sometimes threatened to pull him under. Harry was so engrossed in his phone that he almost didn't notice when Aria suddenly went completely still. Her crayon dropped from her fingers and rolled across the table. Something about her posture made Harry look up. Aria was staring across the diner, her eyes wide. He followed her gaze to see what had captured her attention. A waitress was taking orders several tables away, her back partially turned toward them. There was nothing particularly remarkable about the scene, but then Aria raised her small hand, pointing directly at the waitress. Her mouth opened and one word escaped, barely above a whisper. "Mommy." Harry felt his heart skip. It wasn't unusual for Aria to call other women mommy occasionally. It had happened before with teachers or friends' mothers. Each time was like a small knife to his heart. He gently lowered her pointing finger, explaining as he had many times before that mommy was in heaven now. She pointed again, more insistently this time. "Mommy." Her voice was louder, more certain. Harry sighed softly. He would need to spend more time looking at photos with her again. But something in Aria's expression, a certainty beyond her years, made the hair on his arms stand up. He turned to look at the waitress again, this time more carefully. She had moved to another table and was now facing their direction. Her name tag read Jane. The waitress across the room had Celine's face, not similar, identical. The same heart-shaped face, the same delicate nose, the same warm eyes that had looked at him with love for 8 years of marriage. It wasn't possible. He had buried her ashes. He had spent 2 years grieving her. Yet his daughter had recognized her instantly. With trembling hands, Harry asked Aria to stay seated. His legs felt unsteady as he stood, his heart hammering against his ribs. As he approached, the waitress noticed him and offered a polite smile. When she came to take his order, Harry's voice shook as he called her by name. "Celine!" Confusion crossed her features. She apologized, explaining that her name was Jane, and asked if she could take his order. The response was polite but distant. Harry struggled to find words. He managed to whisper that he was Harry, her husband, and that their daughter Aria was sitting at the table behind him. The waitress took a step back, her expression shifting from confusion to concern. She insisted she wasn't married and didn't have children. With hands that wouldn't stop shaking, Harry pulled out his phone and navigated to his wallpaper, a photo of the three of them at Aria's second birthday party. It was the last family photo they had taken before the accident. He held the screen toward her. "This is you," he insisted. The waitress stared at the image, her face drained of color as she looked from the photo to Harry, then past him to Aria. Something shifted in her expression, recognition battling against confusion. Without warning, she turned and rushed toward the kitchen, visibly distressed. Harry stood frozen, unsure whether to follow or return to his daughter. After a moment, he went back to Aria, who asked why the mommy lady had run away. Before Harry could answer, the restaurant manager approached their table. He asked them to follow him to the office. Harry lifted Aria into his arms, holding her close as they walked through the diner. As they approached the office door, they heard a voice from inside, Celine's voice, though strained with emotion. The sound of it after 2 years of silence made Harry's knees weak. When they entered, they found the waitress on the floor, rocking back and forth with her arms wrapped around herself. Tears streamed down her face as she pressed her hands against her temples. She was muttering fragments of sentences about a birthday cake with stars, asking who these people were. She questioned why she kept seeing the little girl's face. Her body trembled as she gasped between sobs. She looked up suddenly, startled by their presence, her eyes red and swollen. While Harry stood frozen at the doorway, Aria wiggled free from his arms and approached the distressed woman. Without hesitation, the child wrapped her small arms around the woman's legs in a gesture of comfort. Something in this simple touch triggered a cascade of memories. The woman's eyes widened, her breathing changed, and she looked at Harry with dawning recognition. "Harry?" she whispered, his name on her lips for the first time in 2 years. And then she looked down at their daughter and spoke the nickname that only Celine had ever used. "My little star." They got to Harry's hotel hours later, and Celine explained what had happened. In halting sentences, she revealed that she had been found unconscious in a ravine half a mile from the bus crash site, thrown clear of the explosion. With severe head trauma and no identification, she had spent months in a hospital before being released with no memory of her previous life. The hospital staff had given her the name Jane, and she had been trying to build a new life ever since. In that moment, the world that had been broken 2 years ago began to realign itself. The fragments of memory became clearer, connections forming between the woman she had been and the woman she now was. That evening, they called family members who received the news with shocked joy. What began as a pilgrimage of grief transformed into a new chapter for a family that had been fractured by tragedy but was now being pieced back together. As Harry watched Aria curled up against her mother that night, both of them sleeping peacefully for the first time in 2 years, he knew that some bonds transcended even the boundaries of memory. Their daughter had recognized what his adult mind had been unable to accept, that sometimes, against all odds, the lost can be found again. Has someone you love ever appeared different, but something in your heart still recognized them instantly?